There's one New York. That's from New York at this point in time. So apart from Mississippi, the latest coming in as far as New York. So the numbers really stacking up for Donald Trump, a little over 101. Donald Trump is winning Texas. That's the projection. Leading in Georgia. Georgia happens to be another battleground state. Kamala Harris has won New York. So put together the numbers, Kamala Harris now inching closer. It's 99 for Kamala Harris. That's the projection. As far as Donald Trump is 101. Shivani, if I can also bring in my colleague Shivani, who's joining us from New Jersey. So it does look like you have, as it was predicted, a close fight, tight race towards the White House, at least in some of the battleground states, particularly in Georgia. Any details that you're picking up, Shivani, from the other battleground states?
So far, it's, what we got to know is that some states are still showing purple. So, it's a half and half. It's neck and neck race right now. It's very difficult and very challenging right now to predict where the battleground states are going to swing towards. But as of now, we were here and hoping that in New Jersey, like the supporters were telling us that's going to go to Republicans, but it has been seen that it's gone to Kamala Harris. But if you talk about the voter turnout, it's been very important, and especially if you talk about the early voting, it's been historic. More than 18 million people voted early. That was a record high for early voting, and especially if you talk about Republicans. Traditionally, Democrats used to vote early, but this time the registered Republicans voted early. But do you think their voting early would cannibalize the turnout on election day? They would cannibalize.
I don't think so. I mean, I think it was just that I'm excited to know that a lot more people are, and we actually had a lot more Republicans doing vote by mail than they ever did, because vote by mail is traditionally a more Democrat type of process. But this time I've seen more Republicans going that way. And that's what we want, right? Because sometimes if you miss the election day, then you lose those votes. If you get sick or you have to, something happens, then you just lose it. So I think we need to try to get into voting by mail as much as.
So apart from the voting turnout, there've been a general feeling amongst the people when they were talking about what voting issues and irregularities. And, Trump has been talking and been alleging since very long, especially 2020 election, as he said, was rigged. And, this time they've deployed hundreds and thousands of people already to see. So do you think that things are going fine and they're not, there won't be any irregularities?
I mean, let's just hope, right? New Jersey is one of the states that doesn't have voter ID. I personally think that we should have voter ID, because guess what? People are just going in. Yeah, you can just say whatever name. They're not asking for driver's licenses. They're not asking for IDs. So, we really need to look at that process. For sure.
Right. So this election is not important or historic, but it is important in a way that who takes the Senate and House as well. So that's also going to be very, very historic, because if you talk about currently, the Democrats have a wafer thin edge in the Senate and GOP in the House. But this time they would be aiming to have equal count there too.
Yes.
So that way, it is, again, very, very important and historic to see how it goes when we talk about the Senate and House.
With those updates, New York, someone behind you was saying that maybe New York Trump would win, but New York also has gone to Kamala Harris. But of course, Trump has taken Texas, and this continues. The pendulum is swinging. In fact, the needle of New York Times, insofar as the electoral college votes go, is showing Trump going past the 270 mark and might win 278 of those electoral college votes, which means Trump is becoming president, even according to New York Times. And that should be a big breaking development coming in, that New York Times is saying Trump is winning. Saurabh, how do you see this? New York Times Projection. They're not calling the election yet. Projection says Trump might cross the 270 mark and could be getting 270 out of the Electoral College vote, which obviously means Trump is becoming president as per that projection.
This is big, Abhishek, if this were to be true.
And New York Times would have done it very grudgingly, so Saurabh.
Because they endorse Kamala Harris. They endorse, New York Times editorial board endorse Kamala Harris. They obviously, and the fact, the other, I want to tell the viewers here as well, the Georgia lead. Joe Biden won Georgia last time. If Donald Trump is leading in Georgia, that's a big boost for the Republican Party and for Donald Trump, because that's again indicating, even though Joe Biden won it very narrowly last time, but that's a swing state. And if New York Times is saying it, obviously, it seems that because they have reporters on the ground, they have people, on the counting centers, and certainly, but we obviously have to wait till the time the authoritative results are out. But yes, if some of these trends stay, then certainly a Republican Party and Donald Trump have reasons to cheer, Abhishek. But as we were talking, that this is a very interesting election. We obviously have to wait, because some of the other things, like you were speaking about New York and New Jersey, these are traditional Democratic states, and as expected, Kamala Harris has won them.